I want to share with you one of the darkest death metal bands in history. Death Metal Punk is next.
Welcome back to Death Metal Pug. My name is Pug of Hell. I want to be a rock star when I grow up. The purpose of this is to have fun and talk about music. If for some reason we can help out your band, project, or business, please reach out to us at deathmetalpug@gmail.com. I'd like to thank Trevor Sternad for being on last week's episode. Oh man, it'd be cool if I could tell you about seeing Dragged Into Sunlight and Mizmor live a couple days back. Update on the Archspire Independent Kickstarter campaign, and then 2 albums that came out recently, both with ridiculous names. People see that? Now you can't put this one on the video because I had took me like 40 seconds to open it. It was a good night at the no matter what happened at the show, because like I met up with some friends, and then those friends invited some friends who lived in the Chicago as well, and those friends that came just turned out to be so awesome. So the friend of friend had served in the military with my friend, so they're both veterans. My friend was a career veteran who had just recently retired, actually. And her fiance turned out to be a super awesome guy as well. They're not into metal or anything. Like they're like normal people. They don't really go past like Metallica or like Korn or something. But they were super awesome to us, So we just had like such a great vibe and so much fun that like before, no matter like how the show went or like what happened, the whole night was like already a success. Sleeping Village was the venue. I think it was my first time there, and judging by the other bands that were like featured above the men's urinal, it's not usually like my type of groups that usually come there. It looked like I liked it. It was small. It was like set up in like a really neat way. My first impression was like it might have been like a prior VFW hall or something. A Barfly where we ate at like Avondale Bar or something was called. He said that it was an old post office, and the way they had like the glass out front, that kind of made sense actually. Place sounded good, I thought. Like the sound, I thought it sounded pretty good. The 3 bands that night were very loud. The opening bands were not shorted any kind of like volume at all. I need to check out and investigate that opener, Minsk, as I was not familiar with their catalog really. An impressive group, and as somebody told me at the show, they have like a big back catalog, so I gotta try to check into that. All the guys in the band were basically like hanging out at the merch table at the end of the show, so it was very kind of them to do that, and they were like all like very, very, very like awesome. I ended up with a shirt, "Don't Tell Betty." They're from Illinois, where Death Metal Pug is based, and I've not heard of them before. Metal is so robust and wonderful that someone could be in like your back door and you not really see them. Minsk is an American extreme metal band blending doom, sludge, post-metal, ambient, noise, and psychedelic influences. Founded in 2002 between Peoria and Chicago, Illinois. Their name draws inspiration from the resilience of Belarus's capital, a city that has been burned to the ground, rebuilt like a phoenix rising from its ashes. Their sound is characterized by slow building tracks that evolve into complex, heavy, tribal, and trance-like journeys. Live I would say I got definitely like ISIS and like Neurosis vibes, like with the drums and stuff like that. I'm not sure if they're working on a new album or something, so I went ahead and listened to their latest release, but that release was from 2015, titled The Crash and the Draw. It was a relapse band, so this is a legit group. Maybe take a look at it if you're into the, I'd say post metal stuff, post black metal maybe, but not quite. And like I said, Isis and Neurosis. I wanted to see Mizmor for a while. I wanted to see if he could do like that amazing howl growl thing. Oh, Mizmor is the name is the Hebrew word for psalm. It's a one-man metal project created by ALN, goes by the initials ALN, but his real name is Liam Neighbors. Liam Neighbors, that sounds like a Simpsons character.
Alright, whatever you say, Homer.
Mizmor is known for blending doom, black metal, drone, and ambient into deeply emotional and spiritual sonic experiences that often extend past 15 and 20 minutes. Lyrically, ALN deals with topics like faith deconstruction and atheism, mental anguish and spiritual grief, the search for meaning in a godless universe, nature, decay, and the self. I also think like Rainbows and Puppies. His work feels like philosophical journaling through like extreme metal, deeply personal, unflinchingly honest, and utterly devastating. So not beer drinking songs, but more like fentanyl taking songs. Mizmor was born in Portland, Oregon in 2012 as a personal outlet for ALN, who had previously played drums in the black metal band Hell. Mizmor began as an anonymous project created during a time of intense spiritual crisis and personal transformation. ALN, who was raised Christian, used Mizmor as a vehicle to explore themes of religion, doubt, suffering, and existential despair, often grappling with the loss of faith. The self-titled debut came out in 2012. Notable releases include Yodith, YODH in 2016, and Karen in 2019. A collaboration with Thou also took place in 2020, and my favorite, Prosaic, in 2023. I like this one hands down the best. It's just got like more black metal into it, and a lot more or mixed in rather than just like the full-on slow stuff. We recently covered Mizmor's most recent album, Alluvial. This was a return with his prior band Hell. Check out that video. We had a lot of fun stuff in that one. Their Prosaic album to me is the best in my opinion, and quite frankly the only one I can listen through like in one sitting. I like the second and fourth songs on that album the best. They have extremely long songs, right? So every song is like 12 to 17 minutes, and this is across like all of their music. Each of the tracks on the Prosaic album basically have like a slow brooding build up. And then there's this moment where just the whole thing comes crashing down, boom, and then it's just like his howl, and then just hammers down. And then like at first, very faintly, you have like these down-tuned tremolo like guitars that just like are in the background, and they just fire the track back up and almost like a second wave black metal kind of song type of thing. And they do this on like most of the tracks on that album, which I think is great. They did play one song off of Prosaic, and it was that album's opening song, Only an Expanse. The bass player and the guitars were like super cool at the merch table. Very, very thankful, for like buying stuff and supporting the band and everything. Just like it was like super cool. They were very appreciative. ADR looked more like an artist than a metal musician. He looked like an artist, like somebody who lived in Portland, was like really thin, who could like use a sandwich and maybe get off heroin. He didn't strike me like in the photos looking like, as he does in the photos where he's like looking overly sad or anything. He seemed all right. It seemed like he was just kind of like, doing it almost professionally, right? And it sounded good. As was researched, I understand a lot of the music has themes of confronting God's existence, or maybe like swapping sides on that, or just existential things in general, or like stuff. I have a difficult time kind of understanding myself, right? I haven't read through really all the album lyrics or anything like that, but the collective consensus is it's pretty big brain, or rather like deep thinking lyrics. And yes, ADR could do the howl. The first song off of that Prosaic album I knew at the concert when I saw it. The other two songs that they played that night, I didn't really know them as well. Each of the other two songs were off of a different album. So they played 3 songs in total that night, each of them from a different album, and each song was like 10 to 15 minutes long, I would say. Mizmor has a lot of other music out there, so check it out. My friend that's really into this band told me at the show that ADR was in the other band Hell, right? We just learned that, but he told me at the concert the night, and I think he said in that band he played drums. At the concert, he played guitar for the whole concert. He does vocals at the same time, and he's got like a mic set up, and it's got like 2 microphones that just like get right up like towards his mouth, and it puts it like really close, and then he can like kind of do that howl growl thing. Oh, I was glad to see this band live. Have you ever heard of howl growl? Trademarked. I'm excited to share details about seeing Dragged Into Sunlight and Mizmor live earlier this month. Dragged Into Sunlight is a British extreme metal band formed in 2006. They have released 2 full-length albums and 2 EPs. Dragged Into Sunlight's most well-known album is Hatred for Mankind. It is an intense, misanthropic album that channels pure rage and despair. The band created it as an outlet for their frustration with life and the state of extreme metal at the time, aiming to bring back a raw, uncompromising sound. Metal Archives goes on to explain, the album explores the darkest aspects of human nature, incorporating audio samples from the interviews and trials of infamous serial killers to reinforce its themes of depravity and violence. Musically, it delivers crushing riffs, chaotic drumming, and eerie spectral vocals that evoke a sense of overwhelming dread. Dragged Into Sunlight, the band's name itself, symbolizes being forced to confront the brutal realities of existence, making hatred for mankind a sonic representation of that bleak world view. Dragged Into Sunlight do not tour often and hide their identity. I saw them on tour in Chicago, June 5th, 2025. The way Dragged Into Sunlight hide their appearance is done in a thoughtful way. They do not wear masks, but face away from the crowd, as they are known for. The members were set back in the stage near the amps, again with their backs to the crowd. With the occasional forward-facing but blurred due to fog, additional periodic vocals from the stage right guitarist. At the concert, Dragged Into Sunlight played the entire Hatred for Mankind album, top to bottom. As the album is laid out, Boiled Angel and Buried with Leeches opened and were great. The song To Hair On got the crowd moving.
Bastards and bitches, and you're gonna get your asses moved to here.
Dash to the Grinder was awesome. Dragged into Sunlight make long songs feel shorter somehow in how they are constructed. Before the set, candles were lit by the crew. A large candle holder and a few deer skulls with antlers were props. Then before the last song, Aurora, the vocalist, still under a cloak of darkness, blew out each candle one by one. The experience was what was expected, it was heavy, and it was great. Dragged into Sunlight's album, Hatred for Mankind, is a 10 out of 10 pugs. Archspire updates, Archspire updates. We gotta get like a theme song for that going, man. I got 2 albums to share with you, but first some information on that Archspire campaign. If you recall, we bought into the merch package as part of the independent campaign for Archspire. It's built into that Rivers of Nile video we did right before this one. So update number 1, Archspire reached way over their goal of 150,000, and I got information that it was 300,000 already raised, so that email went to us. Thanking everybody for doing that, being a part of it, and that kind of thing. And then they had a second update, and I probably will not bore us too much with this all the time, as there'll be a lot of details and a lot of lag while stuff's being printed and things like that. But I guess we're probably in the fun time, for this information-wise. Basically, second update said the drums are in process. And then it included a very much not edited photo of Ollie at a Walmart buying ice cream. Brutal. King Parrot released a young person's guide to, well, when you look at it like in writing or on the phone or something, it says a young person's guide to King Parrot. This is a death grind jokey band from Australia. I've seen them twice. I feel like 2017 and maybe 2016. I feel like the shows were close together in time. The Ugly Produce album was out when I saw them the second time, but it was not out when I saw them the prior concert, because I remember like Piss Wreck being played at the second one, and that was kind of like a fun song. I remember both shows. I just can't quite get the dates figured out in my head. I met the guys at the merch table. They were really nice, like real Australians with like the accents and everything. I just recently threw out the championship shorts that I bought from them in 2017, I think. The logo wore off, so, I had them a good 8 years, so that's all right. I really like King Parrot's first album, Bite Your Head Off. It came out in October 2012. If you listen to this album, you will know if you like this band or not after listening to it, and if you complete the third song, you will either be immediately into it or you will be immediately out of it. Great songs on this thing. Bozo, Shit on the Liver, Bite Your Head Off, and A Blaze in the Northern Suburbs. Basically the first 1 through 6 tracks are really good on this thing. Most of the whole album is really good. I just can't quite remember like all the specific tracks. Their second album, Dead Heat, it had almost like 2 different sounding like recording sessions in it, which was something a little interesting. It's a very decent second record. It's probably my second favorite of theirs. It's just not as good as the first. The third album mentioned earlier, Ugly Produce, has an uneven quality to the songs. I think like really only like 3 out of the 10 are like really good or really decent kind of tracks. I remember being really disappointed with their 2020 EP that came out, Hold Up in the Layer. If you get that, it's like a COVID reference thing, because, COVID. But, it's just kind of boring, and I felt like it was just kind of like slapped together and put out there. The new album from King Parrot is decent though. It feels like most of the album has like a good vibe to it, and there's not any like clunkers or anything. Check out that album cover as well. Just well played. Like that's kind of funny. It's got this feeling like these songs are going to be even better live. It's just like what it kind of feels like to me, right? Case in point, the song "It's a Rort." I mean, that has to be good live, right? I can just hear how that would play out live. Still funny song titles and added Australian slang. This American is not used to it, but I find it, really interesting to hear those phrases and everything. Check out A Young Person's Guide to King Parrot. I hope you're as curious about new bands as I am. Part of the fun is sharing this stuff, I think, right? The algorithm said to me, "Hey, you're a weird dude, check this out," and it actually did. In April 2025, Sublime Cadaveric Decomposition released the macabre voodoo messiah of massagism and fetishism. I don't even know what those words mean. Really gross stuff here. So in hastily researching what I'll call SCD, they go back to the 90s. There's like these big time gaps between albums. Grind. Gross themes is what I gather. A band you don't read the lyrics to, as they are probably really gross. This album, I'll just say, Macabre Voodoo, has some more like listenable riffs, I think, than like most grind. It's got expected furious drumming. You expect crazy vocals, and it is. It's two distinct kind of vocals or two distinct vocalists or patterns or noises or something. So think like early Carcass, but like the range isn't quite as different as those Carcass albums. 13 songs, 41 minutes. The last one is 5 minutes in length. So this album is not the 45, second like grind blast kind of thing. Their prior stuff was, though. Their other albums have the like 10-second song kind of stuff, but it was like way back when it was like kind of a clever thing to do. This album's vocals are different than the other album's vocals, and I think a lot better. So this album is just not like all like barf noises or something there. There have been two original founding members who remain with the band, guitarist Bruno, and actually the vocalist Seb. I knew a guy named Steb, but I never knew a guy named Seb. Think Regurgitate, Nasum, older stuff kind of regurgitate, newer stuff like Nasum, I guess I'll say. Side note, look up the Regurgitate album covers. You'll see a funny one, I think it was from like 99 or 2000, but don't show your mom that one. This album from this band, SCD, is like an album to put on like when you've had a bad day. And you're coming home from the DMV, you're at the dean's office, your mom had an affair. It is music to chop bodies up to. Do you think people get my hyperbole?
Hyperbole.
That's it! Death Metal Bowl!